Hello everyone. Welcome back. We are in a new location now, new apartment, new place, all that, and it's a new month, so we now need to go over the books I read back in June. So we are doing our June reading wrap up. This is only half of the books I read. One was already returned to the library, and the other two were ebooks, so I read a grand total of 6 books in the month of June. But yeah, we got these 3 and then the others. We'll start with the ones I don't physically have, so it'll be easier. So the first one we're going to start with is 6 of Crows. This one was one that I was kind of highly anticipating, really hoping it was going to be really good because I've heard great things about it. And like my daughters read it, and I've seen so many people talk about how much they love it. And for me, it kind of fell a little short. Like, it was still good, but I think my main issue is that I was so confused about what was going on. I didn't know about the area, even though it had a map in the front. Like, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't understand, like, the people, the characters, kind of like the magic, because there was, like, Grishas or Grishkas or something like that. And, like, I didn't get that at first, like, what made them different than other people kind of thing. So I was very kind of confused for some of that. So I did give the book 4 stars because it was interesting, though. I did like the multiple point of views and like different motives that each character had for wanting to complete the heist that they were going on as a team. I also kind of had to struggle with the idea that they were teenagers doing this because it was like, it didn't make sense to me why teenagers were doing it 100%. But I mean, it was interesting. I did learn, though, that for the parts that I was confused about, that if I had read Shadow and Bone, which is a different book series by the same author that is in similar, like, universe kind of, that I would maybe have a slightly better understanding of the characters, the politics, the magic, all that. So, Shadow and Bone is another book that is on my 2026 books, or 26 books I want to read in 2026. So maybe I will get that here soon and read it and see if it does help me kind of understand, and maybe just read that one before going to Cricket Kingdom, which is book 2 for the 6 of Crows. So we will see. Next one was the Untamed of Wild Hearts or something. I'll put it up here. I mess up the name. I don't know why. I don't know if it's Untamed or Untangled. I think last time I said Untangled in a different video and it's Untamed, but I'm not sure. But this was a book that was from a series I had read. I think it was called like Wild Things or something. But basically it followed 3 sisters who had magic powers that all had to do with kind of nature. One could control plants, one could control the weather, and then the third one was able to kind of like talk to animals or communicate with animals. And so I had read the first 2, which followed the sister who controls plants and the sister who controls weather. And then this one was the third sister who could talk to animals. Her story I was really wanting to read because technically the other 2 stories also deal with the fact that she had died. And like the grief and dealing with that, but then she came back in the second book near the end when they found out that she actually had been kind of protected in a tree by the spirits from them. And so she's dealing with a lot of kind of like issues with the town, thinking that she's like lying and like a freak and like a weirdo and stuff, and she's just trying to be normal, trying to have a normal life, get back to like understanding like the things she missed because she was gone for like 8 years, I think, or 8 or 10 years. So there's a lot that she missed out on. And so it was interesting for that. And then there's a part where she had like this guy that she watched him and his dad, I believe it was. And basically he's a journalist, he's a big shot, everyone loves him, all this, but he comes back and admits like, hey, things didn't work out. I'm back here. I don't even have a job here. And so she's like, hey, I'll help you by giving you my story if you help pretend to be my friend so people will leave me alone. And in a way, he's like, what do you mean? Like, that's not a good deal. He's like, people like you. She's like, or people will leave you alone. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Because, like, it was brutal for her. And so they go through that, and it was very interesting. I think I also gave this one 4 stars. It was like a nice little conclusion to the story and stuff, and I did think that it was pretty good. It just, there's some parts too where it was like weird, because like there's a part where she's like learning about like some sort of like magic, like people think there's like witches in their town. There's like certain articles that talk about it, and then there's like a brief moment where she finds this secret underground passage, and then like it's just, that part right there was a little weird for me, because it's like very briefly mentioned and talked about a few times, and then like near the end you still have so many questions for it. So like I said, that one was a 4, but I completed the series. It was overall a decent series, nothing great or fantastic, but it was pretty good and interesting, and it does have some good sister relationship dynamics going on throughout the series that I liked. The third ebook, or the third book, which was my second ebook, I'm gonna mess this one up too. The Fake Divination by Sara Raasch. So this is book 2. The first one is actually this one. So I'm gonna talk about this one, and then we'll talk about the Fake Divination real quick. So this one's the entanglement of rival wizards, and it follows Sebastian and Alethior, who goes by Theo, I think, or Theor. I'm going to go with Theo because it's easier to pronounce. But basically, they're in college. Sebastian's kind of reckless and a little dangerous, but he has some trauma. Sorry. He has some trauma going on. And he is really passionate about this one grant and trying to get this to study and understand like magic and like being able to use it a certain way. And then Theo is like from this family that's well known and rich and all this stuff. And Sebastian and stuff hates his family. And then his project for this grant is kind of a little opposite of Sebastian's, but also kind of together. And so instead of the college giving the grant to one person, they decide to combine them together and see if they can find a way to talk about how each project's magic system kind of like relates to each other, if that makes sense. And I gave this one a 4.5 because I really liked it. I will say it is pretty spicy compared to her other series, the Royals and Romance one. This one was funny though, in the sense of the banter. And then it's funny because of his relationship with O, who is the one for the Fake Divination book. But I liked it a lot. There's just some stuff where it was like kind of annoying. Like, again, like it took a long time to actually find out what happened for the trauma for him and why him and O were like so close and stuff and why they have issues. And then again, there was a lot of spicy stuff that was going on that kind of like made it where it's like, I get it, but also like get to the point kind of thing. And then also I felt like we had a lot of character insight into Sebastian, but only a little bit into Theo. Like we did still get some for him, but I felt like there was more to him that I wish we could have gotten into. So that was a 4.5. And then the Fake Divination, like I said, is book 2. It follows O, who is Sebastian's like closest friend. They both went through this traumatic thing and stuff, and they survived. And now O, he is a professional raw ball player, and he went to this one team and then he got transferred to this other team. He had issues with this one team to where he didn't fit in, and like they were kind of like bullies to him, and like it just was annoying. And so he's going and he's in this new team and he's trying to fit in, trying to be like one of them and stuff. And he goes to this bar to celebrate the fact that the trauma that Owen and Sebastian went through, they had a case and they settled it and all that. So he goes to a bar to celebrate, invites his team. Only a couple people show up. It's a karaoke night, and then there's this person who performs, and they sing beautifully, and I was like enchanted by him. And then this guy is like bullying the person singing, and I like loses it. So then he later on finds out that the person who was singing is actually a cheerleader for his team, or a cheerleader trainee, I guess is the word. And so his like team is like, let's do this thing, because there's video footage showing him defending this cheerleader. They were like, let's do this thing where like you guys are fake dating for press. It'll look good for the team and for you guys and stuff. And so they agreed to it. And then really likes Alexo, who is the cheerleader, and stuff. But he's also, again, trying not to get too attached because he feels like his trauma makes him like attached to people a little too quickly and depend on them too much. So he's hesitant. And then Alexo has his own drama, which is funny and crazy and interesting, to say the least. So I give this one a 4. There's some stuff where, again, it was kind of like annoying for some of it, where I was just like, I wanted it to move a little faster with stuff. And then, like, again, there's some stuff in these books where it's like kind of silly and like outrageous, but it like fits with the plot, but it's just so crazy and outrageous that like it's funny, but it takes me out of it a little bit. But that one I gave a 4 stars as well. Like I said, it was pretty good. So far, I love most of Sara Raasch's romance books. I know she has a couple more coming out. I know she has one coming out in December that I can't wait. It's a new series, so we'll see about that. And then of course she has a like another book coming out for the Royals and Romance, so can't wait for that one as well. Now we're gonna get into Mad Mabel. This one is a popular one that I've seen a lot of people talk about, or at least they've read and talk about a little bit. But basically, if you haven't already heard, this one's following an 81-year-old girl, or 80-year-old lady named Elsie. She lives in a quiet neighborhood, or it was quiet until this single mom with her daughter move in across the street, and the daughter is constantly bugging her. One day, the little girl is bugging her about a project, needing to like interview someone old, and Mabel's like, go interview this neighbor, he's older than me. And she's like, oh, I tried, he didn't answer his door. And Mabel's like, I'll go get it because I don't want to do it. So she goes over, finds out that he's dead, calls the cops. The problem is that Elsie used to be known as Mad Mabel, and apparently she had a past where you get to read about it and learn and stuff, and it's pretty interesting and stuff. Basically, and the premise is that she did murder someone, and she did become like Australia's youngest murderer and stuff. So she got, in the story, she technically went and served her time and then got out and then changed her name and was living quietly, doing her best and all that, and till this happens, and then her story gets out, and then she's interviewed by these people on YouTube to basically do like a tell-all kind of thing where she tells her side of the story about her past, because no one's ever gotten her side of the story. And so she does that, and it goes back and forth between present and past tense, which is pretty interesting, and I liked it. There's just some things where the past part, even though like it helps you kind of get an understanding of her, some of it was annoying to me. And some of it made it where I didn't care as much about the past as I wanted to about the present. Even though the past gave the backstory and stuff, some of it was just so frustrating. And like that's the whole point, is that it's supposed to be frustrating. It's supposed to get you feeling emotions and stuff. But I just didn't want to read the past parts as much as I wanted to the present, because it just seemed more interesting at that time for me. So this one was a 4 stars if I didn't mention it. Like I said, this was pretty good. It was interesting. I liked it. I see what the hype is about. I just didn't love it. I liked it a lot, but didn't love it. And then now, the last one, the star of the show, because you'll see, is The Book Witch by Meg Schaffer. This one follows a book witch named Rainy March, and she is a 3rd generation book witch, which means that she's a witch who goes in and protects books that have other people going in and like trying to change it and destroy it and cause problems in it, or they have characters who come out of the books and then they have to go and get the character to put it back in the book before it gets erased completely from literature. She has it where her grandpa goes missing and she needs the help of a detective from the stories, whose name I forgot. Oh, he is the Duke of Chicago. Problem is that Rainy, she had a little book crush on him because he is in from a book. She had a book crush from him, and she had a little bit of a relationship, and the people who run the Book Witch Society found out and told her she's never allowed to see him again. But when her grandpa goes missing somehow, some way, he comes in and they go and figure out all the stuff about like what happened with her grandpa and stuff. Like, where did he go? Why? What's like, it's a mystery kind of thing. So I really love this book. I tabbed it, and this is the very first book that I have ever tabbed fully. So this one I really loved. This one was a 5-star. I loved it. It was so interesting. There were so many books talked about and so many stories and stuff. And when you get to the plot twist or the climax of the story, it's like even better, because there's just such a surprise that like resonates with readers, and I think even people who are authors and write books. Like, I love this book. It was so good. Yes. I would 100% recommend this, because yes. So those are the books I read for June. Like I said, out of the stickaway, all the books were good. Favorite obviously was The Book Witch, but they were all really good and interesting. I absolutely did not really get very far in my TBR, and that could be due to moving, but also not. Oh, also do have to mention that I did have one DNF, which was Nevernight, which I did talk about in a vlog, where I got like halfway through and then I read the fake Divination, I think, or the Entanglement of rival wizards, and just after I read that whole book and didn't once touch Nevernight, so I DNF'd it because I didn't care. So I'm sorry to those who maybe were excited about that, but I couldn't get into it after 200 plus pages. So, but those are the ones. So 6 books read, all 4 stars and up, 1 DNF, which isn't too bad. And we just won't talk about the fact that I didn't really do the TBR because, I had to pack, I had to move. We are in the new place, so we will try again with July's TBR. But tell me what books you read in the month of June. What were your favorites? All that. And if you liked watching this video, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.